How do we make sure that the supplier details we have on record are always up to date? Well, a really useful way of doing that within DocuWare is using what we call forms. So we've got the ability to create and publish online web forms. And we've got two examples that are really relevant to today's demonstration that I'm going to show today. First of all is we could raise a purchase order. We could create a purchase order form within DocuWare if we don't already have one, where it can create purchase order numbers for us automatically. It can prompt us for information. So we could say we're going to order this for project work. And in this example, we can make the form adjust or change based on the decisions we make. So if I was to say this is a purchase order for project work, I have to then actually put the correct project code against it as well. So we can then see the information relevant to this purchase order. So we've got all of that information, whether it's for accounting or whether it is actually for project management reasons. We can capture all of that information, and we can start putting items in there, and we can start to see it calculating the correct amounts. And we can even put this through an approval process if necessary as well. On a supplier level, and we're seeing this more and more because we know this can be often a headache for a finance team, is we can create and publish a supplier details form, and we can make this a public facing form for your suppliers to complete. So in which case we can put the information of a company in there. So we could put the address in there and all of that information. We can put our bank account details in there. So we could, I'm just trying to think of a bank account off the top of my head. And we can put the relevant information into that form as well. Another really useful kind of extra feature, if I'd say, in this process is also being able to apply what kind of goods does the supplier provide? Because perhaps we don't always know what they provide. But if we mark it here that we're a provider of all of these things, we can have users actually search this record and say, show me any suppliers that can provide IT services or office supplies. And straight away, it will list those suppliers you already have approved and on file that can provide that service or those goods for you. And finally, we can attach documents to forms in which we can perhaps we want a copy of the supplier contract on record. We could store it against our supplier details. We can make a note of the payment terms and apply those as the invoice process. So as an invoice from landlord comes in, we know our payment terms are 60 days. So we're going to set a deadline in our system for 60 days from this point forward. So we can really capture all of this information quickly and easily, centralize it and apply it against processes and rules.